Hello, this is Father Rich coming to you from the dining room in the rectory at Our Lady of Peace for our next segment of How the Church has Changed the World. We were here a couple weeks ago focusing on the Cathedral of Notre Dame, but I'd like to focus more on the painting behind it called the Angelus by Millet, I believe, of the 1800s French painter. And this is bringing us back to France. The name of this article, and because this picture, kind of what the essay suggests, is that it really represents the people that are highlighted in the subject of our essay. It's called How the Church, here we go. It's called The Rising of the Vendee. And it tells a story about the counter-revolution to the French Revolution of the late 1700s. And that for a few months, there was a group that rose up from southwest France. They say it was down in probably about 300 miles southwest of Paris, which was kind of the center, obviously, of the revolution, and kind of showing this contrast between the enlightened, kind of philosophical aristocrats and people of the revolution up north, and obviously some of the peasants got involved with that as well. But in this rejection of faith, rejection of the church, all for the sake of reason and enlightenment and human accomplishment and getting rid of these oppressive institutions like the monarchs and the Catholic Church that suppress us and don't allow us to freely live what we're capable of as human beings and to let our reason reign supreme, so to speak. And so the people of the Vendee were simple farmers, kind of like represented in the Angelus. They were, they were devout Catholics. And basically they said the philosophies and the attitudes of the revolutionaries didn't really resonate with the people down there. So finally, when they had executed Louis XVI, I believe, it caused these people of the Vendee to rise up. And they actually raised together an unofficial army of several 100,000 people. They made their way up towards Paris and had some success. But eventually, their lack of organization and discipline and just training, the revolution was able to pretty much destroy them. And unfortunately, that's not just something figuratively I'm saying. They literally destroyed them and killed them, executed them. Hundreds of thousands of people of this area of the Vendee were killed. And we know the revolution did that. It killed the people that resisted it, certainly the monks, the nuns, the priests, the church, destroyed, churches, buildings. It was kind of its approach of that's how it dealt with these oppressive things or people that represented what they saw as being oppressive. So the story of this actual article or this particular essay follows a barge that's being led down the Loire River with some of these Vendee people on it. And unfortunately, they're sinking and they're tied to it. So one of the ways they were executed was by drowning, as well as the guillotine and other forms of stabbing and shooting and all kinds of things. Remember that the Angelus depicts a man and a woman out in the farms, a potato farm. Again, kind of considered what the Vendee represent. And they're bowing their heads in prayer. The suggestion is it's dusk. They're coming to the end of the workday. You can see the steeple of the church. Its bells are ringing. We just had the 6 o'clock bells ringing here at Our Lady of Peace. And that's the Angelus prayer. So it calls us to pray. Remember, it's a prayer based off of Mary's fiat at the Annunciation. And it includes 3 Hail Marys, just a way to sanctify the day, to pray for the beloved dead, but also to unite our will to God's will in following the example of Mary. And really that this was the heart of kind of the hardworking, faithful people of the Vendee that were kind of middle to lower class, that were part of the victims of the French Revolution. We actually only ring our bells at noon and 6 p.m. We don't do the 6 a.m., which is the tradition just because of the neighborhood we're in. We should allow the Vendee to inspire us. Even though they weren't successful in an earthly way, we know that they continue to remind us as the early ancestors of our faith against the Roman Empire, who were massacred, that faithfulness to Christ, is all that matters. And that these ideologies come and go, as we've been talking about in this whole chapter, and that the church changes the world by its willingness to take up its cross and follow Jesus to the cross, even if it's death, and that witness. And so we're grateful to the Vendee for that witness they've given to us. We continue to kind of see some of the ways that they even mention in the essay how the aristocrats and the revolutionaries look down upon the people of faith, seeing them as being ignorant and superstitious and unsophisticated and unenlightened. And so we kind of sometimes we see that same arrogance and this challenge between people of reason and faith in our day. We could look at the example of our most recent Supreme Court nominee, 2 years ago, when she was being considered for I think a federal court position, justice position, and she was criticized because her dogma runs deeply in her heart. I think it was said something like that, and as if that was a criticism. And we would say that's what we're called to as people of faith. We don't have to necessarily allow that to completely influence every decision we make, and certainly our justice nomination, that's Catholic, has said that, but yet that continues to be the criticism of the non-religious world of our, of those who are Catholic. So we have to let the Vendee stand up for us and continue to pray that people of faith can stand up against this kind of secular culture that wants to rid our culture and our country and our world of faith and of God and of church and of religion, and to continue to take the baton from our ancestors and not give up, but be faithful, be humble, continue to live out the hard work we're called to in our religion as well as our country, and to and not back down, but to stand up with and for Jesus Christ. So hopefully they can inspire us. Thank you for joining me today. Have a great day. God bless.